He married his true love and discovered she was living a double life. Ethan Cole had always believed that love was supposed to feel simple, and with Lena, it did. They met in the most ordinary way, a rainy afternoon at a bookstore in Boston, both reaching for the same copy of The Great Gatsby. She laughed softly, apologized, and offered him the book. That moment, her warm smile, her soft brown eyes stayed with him. Over the next few weeks, their paths kept crossing. Same coffee shop, same train station, same little coincidences that felt too perfect to ignore. It didn't take long before they were inseparable, two people who completed each other's sentences and shared secrets under streetlights. Lena was everything Ethan had ever dreamed of: kind, humble, a little mysterious, but deeply loving. She worked as a travel photographer, often vanishing for days on assignments, sending him postcards from cities he'd never been to. One day, she'd say, "I'll take you with me." A year later, he proposed on that same rainy street where they first met. She cried, said yes, and whispered, "You have no idea how much this means to me." It was the happiest moment of his life. Their wedding was small, intimate, filled with laughter and candlelight. When she walked down the aisle in a simple white dress, Ethan thought, "This is it. This is forever." But as the night ended, something strange happened. After their first dance, Lena disappeared for almost half an hour. When she returned, she looked pale, almost shaken. "Are you okay?" Ethan asked, holding her hand. She smiled weakly. "Just needed some air," she said. He didn't think much of it then. Love makes you trust too easily. But later that night, as they drove to their honeymoon cabin, Lena fell asleep in the passenger seat. Her phone buzzed once, a message preview flashing across the screen. It said, "Mission complete, returning soon." Ethan froze. He stared at the message, his heart pounding in confusion. It was from an unknown number, no name, no emojis, just those chilling words. He wanted to believe it was some mistake, maybe work-related, maybe a joke. But as he glanced at her peaceful face in the dim car light, a strange thought crept into his mind. Who exactly had he married? The first week of marriage was everything Ethan had dreamed of: coffee in bed, long walks by the lake, quiet nights filled with laughter and whispered promises. Lena seemed happy, almost too happy. She talked about starting fresh, leaving her old projects behind, even hinted at settling down for good. But then came the nights, those strange, restless nights when Ethan would wake up to the faint sound of her voice. At first, he thought she was talking in her sleep, but one night, he realized she wasn't in bed. He got up barefoot and followed the soft glow coming from the kitchen. Lena stood by the window, phone to her ear, whispering, "No, not yet," she said quietly. "He doesn't suspect anything." Ethan froze. The words sliced through him like ice. He stepped back before she could see him and returned to bed, pretending to sleep. When she came back minutes later, she lay beside him and gently traced her fingers on his chest. "You okay?" she whispered. He forced a smile. "Yeah, just tired." But sleep didn't come that night. Only questions. The next morning, Lena acted like nothing had happened. She made pancakes, kissed his forehead, and went out for a photography assignment in the city. When she left, Ethan sat at the kitchen table, staring at her untouched coffee. Something inside him shifted, that first seed of doubt growing roots. He decided to check her phone. It was wrong, he knew that, but love makes you desperate when something feels off. Her phone was locked, but Ethan was good with tech. He used a reflection trick from her selfies to guess her pattern lock. It worked. Most of her chats were innocent. Work messages, friends, travel clients. But one contact had no name, just a black dot emoji. The messages were deleted, except one hidden in the archived folder. New identity secure. He has no clue. Ethan's blood ran cold. He stared at the screen, unable to move. New identity. Who were they talking about, him or her? That evening, Lena came home smiling, as if nothing had changed. But Ethan couldn't stop noticing the little details now. How she always kept her bag close. How she flinched whenever a phone rang. How she avoided eye contact whenever he asked about her past. A few days later, she said she had to leave for a photography trip to Chicago. "Just 2 days," she said, "for a client shoot." She kissed him goodbye, left her suitcase by the door, and drove away. But later that afternoon, when Ethan went to grab something from her luggage, he found it nearly empty. No camera, no clothes, just an envelope marked Lena Moore, confidential. He opened it. Inside were 3 passports, all with her face, but different names. Lena Moore, Lena Hayes, and one that made his hands tremble, Lena Cole. His last name, issued 3 months before they even got married. His mind spun. Who was she really? Why did she have multiple identities, one of them made before their wedding? That night, he tracked her phone location through their shared cloud. It didn't lead to Chicago. It led to a private address in downtown Boston, an old building registered under a fake photography company. He drove there in the dark, his heart hammering. The office lights were dim, but through the glass door, he saw her, Lena, sitting with two men in suits. One of them slid a file across the table labeled Operation Hollow Mirror. And then Ethan heard it. Her voice, calm and steady. Target unaware. Emotional integration complete. Phase 2 begins tonight. Ethan stepped back, the world tilting around him. His stomach turned. The woman he married wasn't living a double life. She was trained to live one. And the worst part, the target in that file was him. Ethan didn't remember driving home that night. The road was just a blur of headlights and disbelief. Every word he'd heard kept echoing in his head. Target unaware. Emotional integration complete. His stomach churned. The woman he'd fallen asleep next to, the woman who laughed at his jokes, who wore his ring, had been assigned to him. He sat in his car outside their house for a long time, unable to go inside. The porch light was still on, flickering softly through the rain. Their wedding photo smiled back from the living room window. It felt like a mockery now, a photo of two strangers pretending to be in love. When he finally walked in, the house felt different, cold, staged, like every happy memory had been part of a script. He poured himself a drink, hands shaking, and stared at the file name burned into his mind, Operation Hollow Mirror. The next morning, he called in sick to work. Instead, he started digging. He hacked into Lena's laptop, guessing her password from a phrase she once used, Wanderlust 1988. It worked. Inside, he found encrypted folders, hidden under layers of photography projects. He spent hours decrypting them until one file opened, a PDF stamped with the same name, Operation Hollow Mirror. Inside were profiles, faces, locations, notes, but one page made his heart stop. Subject, Ethan Cole. Objective, monitor, manipulate, extract. Status, emotional bond successful. Proceed with phase 2. Below it was a scanned page with his signature, one he didn't remember signing. It was on a company contract from years ago, tied to a tech firm he'd briefly worked for Silex Dynamics. That's when he realized this wasn't just about love. This was about data. Silex had once been accused of illegal surveillance tech, the kind that mapped people's personal lives through phones and devices. Ethan had helped design part of that software before quitting when he discovered what it was being used for. Now, someone wanted him back, and Lena had been the perfect way in. The truth hit him like a freight train. They weren't just after him. They were after what he knew. That evening, Lena came home earlier than expected. Ethan acted normal, forcing a smile, pretending to read. She kissed his cheek, smelled faintly of rain and perfume, and said, "Miss me." He swallowed the lump in his throat. Always. But inside, his mind was racing. He watched her move around the kitchen, graceful, calm, controlled, every motion calculated, every smile rehearsed. He wanted to scream, to demand answers, but instead he asked casually, "So, how was Chicago?" She looked up from unpacking. "Busy, why?" "Just wondering," he said. "You didn't send any pictures." Her lips twitched just slightly. "Didn't have time." He nodded slowly. Then he said, almost casually, "Strange, your GPS said you were in Boston." She froze just for a second, but Ethan saw it, the tiniest flicker in her eyes. Then she smiled. "You must have checked the wrong one." And that's when Ethan knew. The woman in front of him was the Lena he married. Maybe she never was. That night while she slept, he snuck into her office and found a small black case hidden under her desk. Inside, a flash drive, a handgun, and a photo. Not of him, of her standing beside one of the men from that meeting. Behind them, the Silex Dynamics logo glowed on a screen. Scrawled on the back of the photo were 3 words: "Trust is leverage." He pocketed the flash drive and left the house before dawn. He drove straight to his old tech contact, an ex-analyst named Jordan, who once helped expose Silex's corruption. Jordan loaded the flash drive into a secure system, scanning through the files. After a few minutes, his face went pale. "Ethan, this isn't just about you. Silex is building something new. Something that uses emotional relationships as data feeds. They're tracking behavior, speech patterns, decisions, through real human connection." Ethan's jaw clenched. "You mean they're using love as a weapon?" Jordan nodded grimly. "And Lena, she's not just an agent, she's one of their best." Ethan leaned back, heart pounding. The rain outside turned heavier, streaking against the windows. His world, his marriage, was a lie built to trap him. He whispered, "So what happens now?" Jordan looked at him, eyes full of warning. "If phase 2 just started, it means she's about to make you disappear." Rain poured relentlessly as Ethan drove back home, mind spinning with the horror of Jordan's words. "She's about to make you disappear." His heart pounded with dread and betrayal, each mile closer to home tightening the noose around his chest. By the time he parked, dawn was just breaking, gray light spilling over the quiet suburban street. Everything looked normal, too normal. The porch light was still on, coffee cup still by the door, like nothing had changed. But everything had. Inside, Lena was already awake, dressed in soft gray, hair tied neatly as if she'd never slept. She smiled when she saw him. "You're up early," she said softly, pouring coffee into 2 cups. Her voice, calm, warm, felt like poison now. Ethan forced a nod. Couldn't sleep. He sat down, staring at her across the table. The woman he once saw as love now looked like a weapon wearing a smile. When she turned to grab a napkin, Ethan noticed something odd. Her phone screen briefly lit up on the counter. A message flashed and vanished. "Phase 2, clean exit confirmed. Proceed at dawn." His blood ran cold. "Clean exit." He swallowed hard, forcing composure. "Hey, I was thinking," he said carefully, "why don't we take a trip, just us, somewhere quiet?" Lena's eyes flickered for a fraction of a second, surprise, calculation, then a smile. "That sounds perfect," she said. "Maybe this weekend." But Ethan wasn't waiting for the weekend. That night after she fell asleep, he quietly gathered a few essentials, passport, hard drive, flash drive, and slipped out the back door. His plan was simple: vanish before she could erase him. But as he reached his car, headlights flared behind him. A sleek black SUV blocked the driveway. 3 men stepped out, suits, earpieces, and that same hollow Silex stare. Ethan bolted through the backyard, rain slashing his face, breath ragged. He climbed the fence, tore his jacket, and sprinted through the woods. A gunshot cracked behind him, sharp, silencing the night. He stumbled, fell into the mud, then kept running. His phone buzzed in his pocket, a message from Lena. Just one line. "You should have trusted me." He threw the phone into the trees and didn't stop running until the lights were gone. By sunrise, he reached an abandoned gas station miles away. He caught his breath, shaking, bleeding, soaked. His reflection in the mirror barely looked human, just a broken man haunted by love, cruelest trick. Jordan met him hours later at a safe house. "You can't go back," he warned. "They'll erase your record, your accounts, your name. You'll be a ghost." Ethan looked up, eyes cold. "Then I'll be the kind of ghost that haunts them." Jordan sighed. "You don't understand. Lena's not your enemy. She's part of something much bigger. You were chosen because of what's inside your head. The code you built, it's hidden somewhere in your subconscious. They need you alive until they extract it." Ethan froze. "You mean they programmed this?" Jordan nodded. "Every move, every emotion, even her love." That night, Ethan found a hidden camera inside his wedding ring. One Lena had gifted him herself. It wasn't just a ring. It was recording him all along. He smashed it against the wall, trembling. Everything he thought was real, every kiss, every laugh had been data. But one question still burned inside him. If all of it was a lie, why did she cry on their wedding night? Maybe somewhere inside that double life, Lena's heart had slipped. And that tiny fracture, that one piece of truth, was his only way in. He looked up at Jordan. "I'm going to find her," Ethan said. "Not to run, but to make her tell me everything." And in that moment, Ethan Cole stopped being the target. He became the hunter. Ethan didn't sleep that night. The sound of rain on the roof mixed with the noise inside his head, lies, memories, every smile that had meant nothing, or maybe meant everything. He stared at the broken wedding ring on the table, its tiny camera still blinking red before dying completely. That was it, the last trace of the man who once believed in love. By morning, Ethan had turned into something else, colder, sharper, awake. With Jordan's help, he began tracing Lena's data trail. The phone, her car GPS, even encrypted satellite pings from her fake photography accounts, all vanished 12 hours ago. But Jordan found one anomaly, a ghost signal bouncing between abandoned Silex servers in New York and a private subnet registered under an alias, Emor. "E for Ethan," Jordan muttered. "She's using your name as a shield." Ethan frowned. Why would she do that? To hide or to send a message? They followed the signal, decrypting its path through layers of digital fog. The deeper they went, the stranger it got. Hidden codes written in Lena's signature style, short poetic fragments embedded between lines of script. The truth burns slower than love. You were never the experiment, you were the key. Ethan's heart skipped. These weren't random, they were breadcrumbs. "She wants you to find her," Jordan said quietly. "But why leave clues if she's part of the mission?" Ethan looked up, his jaw tightening. because she's not following the mission anymore. He started connecting the dots. Each server Lena accessed was tied to a leak, secret documents exposing Silex's illegal experiments. She wasn't covering up their crimes, she was sabotaging them from inside. That night, Ethan and Jordan tracked her location to an old art gallery in Lower Manhattan, shuttered years ago, but still pulling small power readings. They arrived just before midnight. The street was empty, the air thick with tension. Ethan entered first, gun trembling in his hand. The gallery was dark except for the soft blue glow of monitors lined up against the walls. Photos of them, of him and Lena, flashed across the screens, from their first date to their wedding day. Every moment recorded, analyzed, dissected. And then, her voice. "You shouldn't have come here, Ethan." He turned. There she was, Lena, standing at the far end of the room, hair loose, eyes tired but burning with something real. Not the trained calm he'd seen before. Something raw, human. Ethan's voice cracked. Was any of it real? She didn't answer. Instead, she walked toward one of the screens and typed in a command. The footage froze on a wedding night photo, her eyes red, mascara running. "They told me to gain your trust," she whispered, "but I didn't plan to fall in love with you." Ethan's grip tightened on the gun. "You expect me to believe that?" Lena looked at him, tears glistening. "Believe what you want. But you were never the target Silex was. You built something that can destroy them. That's why they wanted you. That's why I stayed." Jordan stepped forward from the shadows. "If that's true, prove it. Show us." Lena pulled a hard drive from her bag and slid it across the floor. "Everything in there, their entire network, their real plan. But they're already coming." Outside, tires screeched. Floodlights cut through the windows. Dozens of black SUVs surrounded the building. Ethan looked at her, the woman he loved, the spy who broke him, the ghost who came back to save him. For the first time, he saw something in her eyes that felt real fear. "Go," she whispered. "Take the drive and run. I'll hold them off." Ethan shook his head. "Not this time. I'm not leaving you again." Lena smiled sadly. "You already did, the moment you stopped believing me." And then she stepped out into the light, hands raised just as the first gunshots echoed through the gallery. Ethan grabbed the hard drive and dove for cover, his heart shattering with every echo of her name. In that moment, he didn't know if Lena was a hero, a traitor, or both. But one thing was certain: the war between love and truth had only just begun. The gunfire still echoed in Ethan's ears long after the gallery went silent. Smoke drifted through the air, stinging his eyes as he crouched behind a shattered display case, clutching the hard drive against his chest. When he finally dared to look up, Lena was gone. The SUVs, the agents, everything vanished. Only the blood-stained glass and the faint smell of gunpowder remained. He stumbled into the street, rain washing down his face, mixing with tears he wouldn't admit were there. She told him to run. She told him to trust her one last time. But how could he, when trust had already destroyed him? Back at the safe house, Jordan patched up Ethan's bruises while booting up an air-gapped system. "You got the drive?" he asked. Ethan handed it over silently, his jaw tight. Jordan inserted it and began decrypting the files. Lines of code streamed across the screen, followed by endless folders, classified communications, personnel lists, internal memos, and then a video file. It was time-stamped just an hour before the ambush. The label read, "To Ethan." Ethan froze. He clicked play. Lena appeared on the screen, pale, exhausted, sitting in a dimly lit room. "If you're seeing this," she said softly, "then I'm probably gone, or I need you to think I am." She gave a faint, broken smile. "You were right about Silex, but you were wrong about me." Ethan leaned forward, every nerve burning. "They used me because I was the only one who could get close enough to you," Lena continued. "But when I found what you buried inside the Silex system, your failsafe code, I realized something. You didn't just build a weapon, you built a cure." Jordan frowned. "What the hell does that mean?" Lena's voice grew urgent. "Ethan, your algorithm wasn't for surveillance. It was designed to reverse it. You created a self-destruct loop, one that can wipe every trace of their network if activated correctly. That's why they wanted you. That's why they needed me to control you." She took a shaky breath. "But now, it's in your hands." Ethan's heart pounded. She had protected his secret, even from the people she worked for. The video glitched, and her voice grew faint. "They'll come for you again, and if I survive, I'll come too, when the time is right." The screen went black. Jordan exhaled. "She's alive," he said quietly. "She staged her own death." Ethan stared at the monitor, his reflection flickering over her frozen image. "Why would she warn me if she was part of them? Maybe she's trying to end what she started." Jordan replied. But this, he gestured at the data, this is dynamite. Every corrupt file, every secret operation, if we leak it, Silex burns. Ethan clenched his fists. Then we burn it. For the next 72 hours, they worked non-stop, decrypting, uploading, building a chain of leaks across dozens of anonymous servers. But the closer they got to completion, the more resistance they faced. Firewalls evolved in real time, digital countermeasures reacting like living things. Someone inside Silex was fighting back. And then one night, as Jordan went to grab coffee, Ethan noticed a new folder appear on his screen, one that hadn't been there before. It was labeled simply EC. He opened it. Inside was a single photo, Lena, standing in front of a window, wearing the same gray outfit from the gallery. Scrawled across the image in digital ink were the words, "Stop, you're not ready." Before Ethan could react, the entire system locked up. Every monitor turned black and a distorted voice echoed through the speakers. "Ethan Cole, you were never supposed to wake up." And then the hard drive burst into static, the screen flickering with Lena's face for a split second before everything went dark. Ethan jumped to his feet, heart pounding. "Jordan," he shouted. Jordan ran in, spilling coffee. "What happened?" "They found us," Ethan said. "And she's with them, or pretending to be." Outside, a low hum filled the air, the unmistakable sound of drones closing in. Jordan grabbed his bag. "We have to move now." But Ethan didn't move. He stared at the black screen, whispering to himself. "She said I'm not ready, which means there's something bigger coming." He turned to Jordan. "We're not running anymore. We're taking the fight to them." The sound of shattering glass filled the room as the first drone broke through. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and in the chaos, Ethan finally understood. This wasn't just about revenge or love anymore. This was war, a war written in code, betrayal and blood. And somewhere in that storm, Lena was still out there, watching, waiting. 3 days after the drone attack, Ethan Cole was officially dead. At least, that's what every database, news outlet and government file said. His body had been found in the ruins of an old subway tunnel. But in truth, Ethan was alive, hiding beneath New York City, breathing recycled air, and staring at the glowing remnants of a half-burned hard drive. The underground world was cold and silent, a graveyard of wires and rusted circuits. Jordan had escaped too, but they'd split up to avoid detection. Ethan worked alone now. The only company he had were the flickering screens, the low hum of power cells, and the ghost of Lena in his head. He was rebuilding, not his life that was gone, but his creation, the algorithm, the cure, as Lena called it. He'd named it Project Ghost Code, because that's what it was now, invisible, untouchable, a weapon hidden inside silence. Every night he replayed Lena's last message, decoding every pause, every flicker, every pixel. Somewhere inside that video, she'd hidden something, a clue, a key. Then, on the 5th night, he found it. A single frame in the video glitched, showing Lena's eyes filled with binary code reflections. Ethan froze the image, enhanced it, and converted the binary pattern. The result was a coordinate deep in the Nevada desert. "Of course," Ethan muttered, "Silex's old test site." He loaded up his portable terminal, packed the remains of the hard drive, and began his journey. By the time he reached Nevada, the sky was bleeding orange. The desert stretched endlessly, the wind cutting through him like glass. The coordinates led to an abandoned research bunker, sealed behind layers of concrete and rust. Ethan forced the door open, and the air inside smelled like dust and memory. Rows of dormant computers lined the walls. In the center of the room stood a large terminal still humming faintly as if waiting for someone. He approached it and found a note taped to the screen, in Lena's handwriting. "If you're reading this, you chose truth over peace." His hands trembled as he pressed the power key. The monitor flickered to life. Lines of code began to scroll automatically, his own code, but rewritten, evolved. And then, her voice filled the bunker. "Ethan," Lena said, her tone calm, distant, "Silex never wanted surveillance. They wanted control. You tried to build freedom. I tried to protect it. Somewhere between those choices, we lost ourselves." The system projected her face onto the wall, a digital ghost smiling sadly at him. "If you run this code now, you can erase them all, every trace of Silex, every system, every secret. But it comes at a cost. Once it's activated, it won't stop. It will wipe everything connected, including me." Ethan stared at the screen, pain carving deep into his chest. "You knew this would happen," he whispered. Her voice softened. "I had to become the ghost to set you free." Tears welled in his eyes. "Lena, are you still alive?" Silence. Then a faint distortion and a hidden file unlocked automatically. Inside, a short audio clip played, her voice barely audible beneath static. "Meet me at the edge of the world when the code is clean." The screen went black, leaving only the sound of his heartbeat. Ethan stood there for a long time, staring into the darkness. Then, slowly, he smiled, a hollow, broken smile filled with resolve. "She's still out there," he whispered, "and I'm going to finish what we started." He inserted the final command into the system. The screen blinked twice, and a faint glow began spreading across the network maps, lighting up nodes one by one. Silex's empire was burning, and somewhere, in a hidden place beyond the reach of satellites, Lena watched the flames rise, whispering to herself, "He found me." The firestorm of data was unstoppable. By dawn, every major Silex server had gone dark, entire networks collapsing in silence. The world above barely noticed, but inside the digital realm, a war had just ended, or maybe just changed shape. Ethan Cole watched the last red node blink out on his screen. For the first time in months, there was no background hum of surveillance, no encrypted chatter hunting him, just quiet, too quiet. The message Lena left echoed in his head. "Meet me at the edge of the world when the code is clean." He didn't know what she meant by the edge of the world, but the coordinates embedded inside her final audio file pointed to one place, a remote Arctic island off the coast of Alaska, a place long erased from official maps. He packed what little remained, a satellite tracker, a solar cell, and a pistol with 2 bullets. Then he vanished north. 2 weeks later, Ethan stood on the deck of a small cargo ship cutting through ice and fog. The sea was quiet, endless, just gray upon gray. The captain, an old fisherman who didn't ask questions, finally pointed to a shape in the distance. "There," he said, "end of the map." Ethan stepped onto the frozen shore, boots crunching on untouched snow. His breath formed clouds in the freezing air as he followed the coordinates deeper into the island. And then, through the mist, he saw it, a massive glass dome half buried in ice. Inside, faint light still flickered. He approached slowly, his hand brushing frost off a faded sign. "Project Eden. Authorized personnel only." Heart pounding, Ethan forced open the main hatch. Warm air hissed out, carrying the smell of metal and ozone. The interior was surprisingly alive, machines humming, servers blinking faintly. It wasn't abandoned. Then he heard it, soft footsteps echoing down the hall. "Ethan!" He froze, that voice, that impossible voice. She stepped into the light. Lena, pale, alive, wrapped in a thermal coat, her hair shorter, her eyes still carrying that same quiet storm. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe. "You're alive," he whispered. She smiled faintly. "So are you." He took a step closer. "You faked everything." Lena nodded. "I had to." Silex wasn't just an organization. It was a seed, part of something bigger. Project Eden was the next phase. They planned to rebuild after the collapse. Ethan frowned. "And this place? It's the backup," she said softly. "All the data, all the blueprints, everything you thought you destroyed. I've been keeping it from waking up." Ethan looked around the glowing dome. "Then why call me here?" She hesitated. "Because I can't stop it alone. The ghost code worked too well. It's not just erasing Silex. It's rewriting everything connected to it, including human systems, energy grids, even medical AIs, if it keeps spreading." He finished her sentence quietly. "It'll crash the entire world." Lena nodded. "I built a failsafe inside the core, but only you can access it." Ethan's chest tightened. "You want me to shut it down?" "I want you to choose," she said, stepping closer. "You built freedom, Ethan. Now you have to decide what it's worth. End the code or let it end them." He stared at her, the woman who had lied to him, loved him, and saved him all at once. The silence between them was louder than any explosion. Finally, he whispered, "If I stop it, what happens to you?" Lena's gaze dropped. "Then I disappear. I'm part of it now, my consciousness, my code. The only way to stop ghost code is to erase me." Ethan's throat went dry. "You knew this was coming." She smiled sadly. "We both did." The console beside her flickered alive, a single prompt blinking. "Execute shutdown, Y/N." Lena looked at him, tears welling in her eyes. "The edge of the world isn't a place, Ethan. It's the point where love and truth meet, and only one survives." He stepped closer, hand trembling above the keyboard. "Lena, I..." Before he could finish, alarms blared. A red light flashed across the dome. A digital voice echoed. "Intrusion detected. Eden protocol activating." Lena's face went pale. "They found us." The ground shook, as machines roared to life. The entire dome began powering up, a sleeping god awakening beneath the ice. Ethan looked at her, then at the console, and knew this was the moment everything came down to. Her voice broke through the chaos. Whatever happens next, make it mean something. And then, the light swallowed them both. The explosion of light threw Ethan backward. The dome shook violently, glass panels shattering like ice under a hammer. Sirens screamed. Machines hissed to life as mechanical arms unfolded from the walls, their red sensors scanning the room like eyes waking from a long dream. Ethan blinked through the blinding white haze. "Lena," he shouted. Through the smoke, he saw her standing before the central core, her silhouette trembling against the rising glow. The light behind her pulsed like a heartbeat, fast, desperate, alive. "It's the failsafe," she yelled. "Eden is trying to reboot itself. It's rewriting the world as we speak." Ethan stumbled forward, clutching a railing for balance. "What do I do?" Lena turned, tears streaking her face. The code's locked into a choice loop. It'll either complete the ghost code, erasing every digital structure on Earth, or reset everything to Silex's control. There's no middle ground. Ethan's chest tightened. "Then we shut it down." She shook her head. "I told you, shutting it down means erasing me." The words hit him harder than the explosion. The air around them vibrated with low-frequency pulses as the central screen blinked alive. Lines of code streamed faster and faster until one sentence appeared in bold, crimson letters. "Eden Protocol, awaiting final command, select path. 1. Rebuild, Silex returns. Humanity stays enslaved. 2. Erase, ghost code completes. Lena dies. Systems reset to 0. Ethan stared at it, his hands trembling. 2 options, 2 endings, no third door. Lena stepped closer, her voice breaking. "If you choose rebuild, the world goes back to being controlled, safe, stable, blind. If you choose erase, they lose everything, but so do I." He looked at her, really looked. The woman who had lied to him, saved him, and somehow still owned every part of him. There has to be another way. She smiled faintly through the tears. There never was. Outside, the ice cracked. The dome's temperature rose sharply as systems overloaded. The floor beneath them split open, glowing with lines of molten light, veins of the machine's dying body. Ethan turned toward the console. "If I choose erase, will the ghost code survive?" "It will rewrite itself," Lena said softly. "A world without chains, without me." He reached out, his hand hovering over the keyboard. His heart raced. "Lena, I can't lose you again." She stepped closer, resting her hand on his. "You already did, Ethan, but maybe this time you can lose me for something greater." The alarms screamed louder. The dome's power surged, shaking the entire island. They had seconds left. Ethan's eyes locked on hers. "Tell me it was real." Lena smiled, not the smile of a spy, but of the woman he met in that rainy bookstore. "Every second." He pressed the key. EXECU2ING. Erase. The entire dome erupted in blinding white light. Lena's form began to shimmer, fragments of her body breaking apart into code, pixels of light floating upward. She looked at him one last time. "You gave them freedom, Ethan. Don't waste it." He reached out, screaming her name as her face dissolved into light. "Lena." And then silence. The dome went dark. The hum stopped. Outside, the storm calmed. The world's data grids flickered offline one by one, then rebooted into clean, empty silence. No Silex, no surveillance, no ghost code. Just peace. 6 months later, a quiet cabin overlooked the sea. Ethan sat alone, watching the sun rise over calm water. The world had changed, slower, simpler, free. No corporations watching, no systems manipulating lives. People were learning to rebuild, to reconnect. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a cracked data chip, all that remained of the ghost code. Sometimes he thought he could still hear her voice in the faint hum of its circuits. And then, one morning, as he plugged the chip into his terminal, a message appeared, no sender, no origin. "Meet me where the sky touches the sea. L." Ethan froze, his heartbeat quickened. For a long moment, he just stared at the message, then smiled. "She always did love impossible places," he whispered. He packed his bag, slipped the chip into his coat, and walked toward the horizon, where the world ended and something new began. The ocean stretched endlessly, a mirror of gray and silver beneath a pale sky. Ethan stood on the edge of a forgotten shore in northern Iceland, the wind biting at his face. It had taken him weeks to find this place, the exact coordinates hidden within Lena's final message. "Meet me where the sky touches the sea." He scanned the horizon, unsure what he was looking for. Just water, just silence. And yet, something pulsed beneath it all, a faint hum, like the heartbeat of a machine buried deep beneath the waves. Ethan knelt, pulling the small data chip from his pocket, the last remnant of the ghost code, and perhaps of her. He connected it to his handheld console. The screen flickered, then static, and a voice. Soft, familiar, "You made it." His breath caught. Lena. The screen stabilized. Her face appeared in shimmering fragments of light, incomplete, ghost-like. Her smile was faint, digital, but real. "You shouldn't have come," she said, her voice echoing like wind through glass. "I had to," he whispered. "I saw the message." She tilted her head, eyes flickering with glitching pixels. "I left that before the end. I wasn't sure if I'd survived the erasure, but part of me did. In the oceanic data vaults, the ghost code evolved. It's no longer destroying, it's healing." Ethan's heart pounded. Healing. "Yes," she said softly. "Rebuilding ecosystems, restoring broken systems. The world is learning to live without control, and the code is learning to protect it." He took a step closer to the glowing console. "Then why call me here?" Lena smiled sadly. "Because it's time for me to fade for good. The energy sustaining this fragment, it's almost gone. But before I go, I needed to see you one last time." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "There has to be a way to bring you back. I can extract your data, rebuild your consciousness." She shook her head gently. "That's not life, Ethan. You taught me that. Real love exists beyond code, beyond control." He looked at her, desperate. "You can't just disappear." Her voice softened. "I'm not disappearing. I'm becoming part of what we saved. Every sunrise, every quiet moment without fear, that's me now." The wind grew stronger, scattering snow across the rocky shore. The image flickered harder now, breaking into lines of light. Ethan reached out, as if he could hold her one more time. "Lena." She smiled, that same quiet, impossible smile. "The edge of the world wasn't an ending, Ethan. It was a beginning." The light brightened, surrounding him, warm and weightless. He heard her voice one last time, a whisper carried by the sea. "Where the sky touches the sea, that's where I'll always be." And then the light faded. The console went dark. Only the soft waves remained, crashing gently against the shore. Ethan stood there for a long time, the cold wind against his face, tears mixing with the salt of the ocean. Then slowly, he smiled, not in grief, but in peace. He turned toward the horizon, watching the morning sun rise from the sea, a new world dawning, quiet and free. And somewhere, deep within the hum of the waves, a familiar voice whispered again, faint but unmistakable. "Hello, Ethan." To the end.